In this video, we're going to have a look at Berachain. So Berachain launched a couple of days ago, and actually the price action was really bad, especially that it launched in the moment when market was really down. It's currently getting a little bit better, both for the market in general and for Berachain. And I'm going to look at some of the projects within the ecosystem, which I think are pretty cool because this is one of the newest L1 blockchains that you can basically use also for farming. I believe that I'm holding myself some BERA because I feel like risk to reward ratio is pretty good. Of course, this is not financial advice. Crypto is risky, you can lose all your capital, but in this video, I'm going to show you some of the more interesting things here. So this is the graph of the BERA since launch. Basically, it launched at the price after around like 10, $12. It's currently half that, so it lost basically 50% from the all-time high, and still pricing and funding on many exchanges like Hyperliquid is negative, which means that if you long, you're actually getting paid to long it on Hyperliquid. Which is already pretty cool because usually it's the other way around, especially if people are super bullish, then the funding is definitely positive and you have to pay if you want to take leverage to long it. Here, it's something different. You're getting paid to actually long BERA. The reason for that might be, of course, the market is super negative, but also there might be many VCs that are shorting, hedging their position, they holding the spot, they have that locked in for some time and they can't do anything, so they decided to short it on the market. This is what I heard. I think this is a viable strategy if you have a big position in BERA, but nevertheless, if you look at the market cap, current market cap is $600 million with the FDV fully diluted valuation of even less than $3 billion, and it's pretty small compared to some of the other protocols that are out there, even some L2s to Ethereum, which I think is pretty interesting spot. Of course, it doesn't mean it can't go down. It can definitely, it can go down to 1 billion or even below that. But for now, it's doing pretty well. I think the closest thing I would compare that to is Blast. Even though Blast is L2, but Blast was, it went really down a lot. But still, people are farming at the top. That was like pretty substantial token. Let me show you the market cap at the beginning. There was basically 4x from here. If you look at that, so that was $1.6 billion market cap. Of course, that's L2 to Ethereum, so that's a different story. But I think this is the closest when it comes to the mindshare, the vibes, and so on. Berachain has many more interesting things happening because this is being L1. There are many interesting projects being built, especially if you look on DeFi Llama. And I also wanted to show you Smokey the BERA tweet, which is, I think, pretty cool. We're going to start with the tweet. This is a summary of what has happened at the launch, and I think that's pretty good, showing what's really happening. So game time is right now. Of course, the hardest part after all these roses and unicorns before the launch is what's happening after the launch, because before everyone is expecting the token, there's a lot of volatility, people are expecting their airdrops, that's coming, people are selling, suddenly the price is down, market is not really doing well, and you have the price action of BERA as you have right now. If you look at that from that perspective, then what really will matter in the long term is how they build out the entire ecosystem. And I think that's pretty cool because Smokey, which is the main BERA, chief Smokey officer in Berachain, one of the co-founders, he's doing amazing work, and he's been doing that work for years. I don't think he's going away anywhere. It's only the beginning. Of course, a lot of things can happen, but so far so good. And I think he mentions a couple of interesting projects, especially Infrared, Kodiak. There are already NFTs that are happening. You can look at OpenSea also. So OpenSea added Berachain. You just have to go with here. You have all chains. You just have to pick Berachain, and you can see some of the NFTs. I think most prominent one, the one that Smokey is mentioning, is the Bullas, Steady Teddies. There's also a couple of other things. The Bullas are here, especially on OpenSea, so you can see that. I think the price is pretty solid. The things that I've checked is like pretty stable, as you can see for the past couple of days. So I think this is one of the bigger communities here on Berachain, so that's one thing. And of course, there are those DeFi projects that he mentions. We're going to visit those as well. Infrared, backed by Binance, built on BERA. This is basically a DeFi project. As is Kodiak, you have different vaults where you can put your BERA tokens or Honey, which is a stable coin on Berachain, in. So I think that's one interesting. You also have a Kodiak, which is liquidity platform, which means also more vaults, more DeFi stuff that you can do here. If you go through, you can basically provide liquidity, trade, bridge. So that's a couple of interesting stuff here that you can do. And they also I think have interesting stuff that they're building out. So that's pretty interesting from what they're doing. This is a couple of the projects that Smokey is mentioning, and of course the fact that Berachain is going to be the main thing that he's doing. The interesting thing is that the TVL is growing pretty fast. So the TVL is currently higher than the market cap of the coin, which is usually a good sign. The TVL being how much of the total value locked is on the chain. It's currently at $2 billion, that in USD. So that's pretty cool one, I think. The apps are being used. People are trying to yield farm. And I think that's already interesting. Also, if you look at the list of DeFi Llama, so I mentioned Kodiak, Infrared. We also saw that. There are a couple of other things that might be interesting, because especially with those new protocols, and basically all of them are new, especially if they are only on Berachain, you have a chance at getting an airdrop. And this is something that might be interesting for some of you, is if you provide liquidity, if you do trading, then you might get an airdrop from a particular protocol, which is, I think, interesting. So overall, I would definitely have a look at Berachain. There are a couple of markets where you can buy. I mentioned Hyperliquid, but it's also available on most of the exchanges like Binance, Maxi, KuCoin, Gate.io, so Bybit. You will have the links down below in the description, depending on whether you want to go with a decentralized exchange or the centralized exchange, whether you want to long it or whether you just want to buy it on spot. I think it's a pretty interesting point to actually to decide whether this is going to be something of interest to you. I would definitely have a look. As I mentioned, I'm currently having some small position in Berachain because I like the chain, I like the Bera, and I think this is a pretty good opportunity. Of course, anything can happen. Thank you for watching, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next video.